Hello, Provo City. I am Superintendent Dow from the Provo City School District. Today is Friday, March 8th. I am happy to be bringing you this update about all of the things that we've been working on as a district. First and foremost, I would really like to thank those of you that went out to your caucuses on Tuesday night to participate in our democratic process as we elected delegates to represent different political parties so that that selection of candidates can happen at the county and state conventions. Being a part of that process is very, very important. And so really appreciate those of you who took the time to do that. I know at least where I live up in Salt Lake County, it was quite well attended in many areas, and there were a lot of people that were in attendance and participating in that process, which is always very exciting. So I'm very grateful to live in a place where we get to participate in the selection of our leaders and have our voices heard. And so I appreciate those of you that were able to participate in that and contributed in that way. That's very important to all of us. Also, just want to let you know that we do have a place on our webpage. If you go to our main webpage at provo.edu, there is a button at the top of the screen that allows you to click on it, and it will take you to a forum so that you can receive construction updates. And this would be primarily for Timpview High School, Wasatch Elementary School, as well as Shoreline Middle School. We have had a lot of individuals who would like more information about that. You can direct anyone to that. They do not have to have students in the school district. It allows you to enter in your email, and then as we do those updates twice a month, it will send you a newsletter, and it will also give you links to several of the slide presentations, drone video footage, and things that are presented in board meetings that might be of interest to you. And then if you have further questions, then you can always reach out to the Board of Education or to myself for any of those construction related questions. So we're just really trying to keep more up to date and let you know what's going on in terms of construction. Really appreciate the feedback from communities, especially Wasatch Elementary, that gave us some feedback that they weren't aware of some of the things that were taking place. So we're trying to be a lot more proactive in terms of our communication. So please spread that to all of your neighbors and anyone you know. If you're hearing them talk about, wow, I wish I knew more about this, that's a great way to get some information. I do want you to be aware that there is a board meeting this Tuesday, March 12th. We will have our study session beginning at 4:45 p.m. in Boardroom 1. And then we will begin the business meeting at 7:00 p.m. in the Professional Development Center. Some of the key items that will be discussed in the study session will be how we're funding teachers and personnel at our schools now that the legislature has divvied out its funding for education, and what our anticipated revenues will be, and then we build our budgets from there. And so that discussion will be taking place to really kind of explain our process for how we allocate those resources to each school. We will also be talking about a final vote. We will be taking a final vote on two policies. One is on language access policy for families where English is not their primary language, and the other policy is student travel. And then we will have a first reading on our board policy for student board members, as well as our student advisory council. So those are some things to look forward to in terms of our policy discussion. We will also be discussing the fee schedule for our middle schools and high schools. So this will be the second reading, and the board will hopefully take action, but certainly there's still time for comment. That will go up, and we've already gone through a first reading of that, and that has been available. So you can take a look at that, and if you have any questions about those fees, you can reach out to Devin Daly, who is our interim business administrator, and she would be happy to assist you with any questions that you might have about that fee schedule. You can also reach out to Assistant Superintendent Daryl Jensen, who worked with the middle school and high school principals to help develop this fee schedule so that it's within the guidelines of, within the parameters, not guidelines, but within the parameters of the law regarding school fees. Just wanted you to be aware that we always do a construction update in our board meetings, so you can look forward to that. And then want you to be aware that we have almost completed our expansion of East Bay Post High for our students with disabilities. that are between the ages of 18 and 22. More information to come. We want to do a really fun open house and celebration. And really want our families also that where their students are at Provo or Timpview high schools to be able to see what a great facility and what opportunities are available to their students. So I'll keep you apprised of that, but just look forward to that coming after spring break. Also, just want you to be aware that if you have a 5th grader and you are interested in sending them to Camp Big Springs, that the registration deadline has been extended to March 29th. Please reach out to your elementary school. They have more information and can support you with that. As always, our strategic plan is moving forward. We have our next steering committee on March 19th, but with that, we are also opening up some focus groups to our entire community. Those will be taking place on March 18th and 19th. We will be sending out information about how you can sign up to be a part of one of these focus groups so that you can give feedback and input about the priorities of the district and some of the goals that we should be looking at and setting. So there will be an email that will be coming out, and there will be some social media posts where you can sign up for those focus groups and take part in really structuring and giving input on our strategic plan. Also a reminder, there is no school next Friday, March 15th. It is the end of 3rd quarter, and there will be no school for students on Monday, March 18th, as it is a professional learning day for our teachers. Also just wanted to highlight, we do have 2 student board members that run our Student Advisory Council meeting once a month. We have 9 students currently serving between Provo and Timpview high schools. And they do a great job of really talking about the impact of policies and practices within the district on students. Since we do serve students, it's always good to have student feedback, and we appreciate their input. And this week we had a real treat in that we were able to meet with some of our student leaders from Centennial Middle School. And they were able to ask our high school seniors some really great questions about what to expect moving into the high school. So that was really enjoyable and really fun, and just demonstrates what great students we have throughout our district. Also this weekend, it's the daylight savings time. Here we go. And so it will stay light an hour longer. We will all lose an hour of sleep, and I'm sure all of us will be a little squirrely or a little sleepy next week. Just wanted to remind you of that. And then also this month is National Women's History Month. We are going to be focusing on different women leaders throughout our city. I'm hoping to get some different guests for our podcast, but we started off this week with a podcast with Momi Tua and Cami Alvarez, the principals at Provo and Timpview high schools. And I think it's great to get some more perspective on their background and how they ended up in the leadership positions that they're in, and just how many people believed in them and kind of the path that they took to become these great leaders within our district. And they're really passionate about helping all students and coming up with creative solutions to problems. So really great things. So anyway, just wanted you to be aware of that. Also just want you to be aware that as we are helping our Board of Education develops our budget, so we are looking at the numbers that will come from the state as a result of the recent legislative session. Our next steps are that we divvy out that funding to each of our schools, and it is important to recognize that we have been receiving additional funding through the federal government as a result of the pandemic. That funding was known as ESSER funding. That funding is now all coming to an end, and as a result of that, there are some things that we have to prioritize as a district. And so our Board of Education will be definitely directing us as district leadership team as to where those priorities need to be. We certainly want to make sure we are recruiting and retaining the very best possible teachers that we can, and supporting them appropriately. And so we are also surveying our teachers to ask them to prioritize some things in terms of our funding, because that's also helpful to receive their feedback as to what's the most important, so that we can make sure that we keep the great employees that we have. So just wanted to highlight all of that. I hope all of you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you'll tune into the podcast. I think it's a fun one. I think a lot of your high school students would really enjoy it as well, to kind of hear a more personal side of the high school principals. So if you have a high schooler, you might want to direct them to that podcast. Thanks everyone, and have a great weekend.